digestion. Okay, so where do you see salivary amylase? O si syempre sa saliva. Okay, so this is, what is salivary amylase? So this is an enzyme, okay, that will catalyze the initial digestion of carbohydrates. So halimbawa kumain ka ng starch, okay, ng let's say ng rice or a corn. So when you masticate the food, it is broken into smaller pieces and it is mixed with your saliva. Now, the kind of amylase is alpha amylase. Diba sinabi ko naman sa inyo na ang starch, the final digestion product is an alpha D-glucose versus your cellulose, which is beta D-glucose. Kaya yung amylase, no, is a specific enzyme for a substrate, starch. Kasi ang mga enzyme, very specific ang kanilang substrate sa yung kanilang reaction eh. Gaya halimbawa ng alpha salivary amylase. So specific lang na ang kanyang substrate would be starch. Okay? Okay, yan. So, what will be the test for the presence of salivary amylase? So this is what we do in the experiment. Kukuha ng saliva, pero mag-chew ng bubble gum. Kasi sa procedure, mag-chew ng bubble gum kasi the bubble gum will stimulate the production of saliva. Kasi, bakit ba importante ang saliva? Bryce, Mr. Benala, bakit kailangan nilaway? Bakit kailangan may saliva? What would be the importance of saliva? Mr. Benala, bakit kailangan may saliva tayo? Bakit kung walang nasisekret na saliva, magkakaproblema ka talaga? So why do you think you need a saliva? Anyone? Yes. What is the purpose?
To break down food, to help break down the food. Kasi po meron po siyang enzymes kagaya ng pepsin po. Ganun po.
Pepsin? Ang pepsin sa stomach lang yun, Miss Banal.
Ay, joke.
Wala kang
May
pepsin.
enzyme, pero may enzymes po siya na nag-help mag-break down ng food.
O kaya nga sinabi ko kanina na, 'di ba? Initial digestion of carbohydrate will start in the mouth. Pero ang tanong ko kasi, ano ba ang importance ng saliva? Bakit nilaway tayo? Yung isa, very obvious na yung reason eh. Bakit may saliva? Anybody?
Pang-lubricate po ng mouth.
Pang-lubricate. O ano pa talaga yung specific na function ni saliva?
Ma'am, ano po, for lubrication po and binding.
For lubrication and binding. Kasi saliva is somewhat slippery. Okay? So what will make that slippery is the presence of a glycoprotein mucin. Nakikita niyo na yung blackboard ko?
Yes po.
Oo. Okay. So saliva. Okay. Yung saliva, sabi mo, ma'am, di ka magdi-discuss pa rin talaga ako. No? Siyempre, alam niyo naman yung saliva, pinoproduce ng mga salivary glands. Siguro alam niyo na naman sa anatomy kung ano yung mga salivary glands that produce the saliva. So yung saliva will be the source of your salivary amylase. Diba? So salivary amylase, to be specific, is an alpha form, no, sa alpha amylase. And in the mouth, this is where the initial digestion of carbohydrate will take place. Initial digestion of carbohydrate will take place. So, si pepsin hindi nasa mouth, si pepsin nasa stomach. Okay? So, kaya kapag kumain ka ng starch, okay, with the aid of your teeth, you masticate, this will be broken into smaller pieces. pero starch pa rin yan, no? Smaller pieces. Tapos, salivary amylase, dahil pag mas maliliit, mas madali siyang makapag-catalyze. Pag sinabi mong magka-catalyze, ika-catalyze niya lang yung hydrolysis reaction. Okay? So, i-hydrolyze niya ang reaction, ang digestion process, okay, in the presence of water, so that the starch could be converted into mga shorter chain of polysaccharide. Diba si starch is a polysaccharide? So kapag kinain mo, it is broken into smaller pieces, then salivary amylase together with water, no, will hydrolyze. Ito yung tinatawag natin na enzymatic hydrolysis. I-break niya yung mga glycosidic bond in the starch, no? Naalala niyo yung ginawa ninyo dun sa depression plate. The starch will be digested into amylodextrin, 'di ba? Yung mga ganon, erythrodextrin, and then eventually into maltose, and then eventually into glucose. Pero pag andi dito pa lang sa mouth, okay, sa mouth, yung starch could be in the form of mga amylodextrin, okay, erythrodextrin, yan yung mga dextrin muna. Okay, some will be converted into maltose and isomaltose. Pero wala pang maraming glucose dito kasi initial digestion lang yan. Makukumpleto ang digestion ng starch in the small intestine dahil andoon yung mga ibang enzyme like disaccharidases. So kung na-convert na into maltose, doon na sa small intestine makukomplete ang digestion ng carbohydrates. Okay, so that will be enzymatic hydrolysis pa din. Okay, kaya yung saliva will be the source of your salivary amylase, no, which is an enzyme that will catalyze the hydrolysis reaction or the digestion of your starch into shorter chain polysaccharide. Okay, kasi yun ang purpose ng digestion. Remember, hindi mayu-utilize ng body ang carbohydrates hanggang hindi siya nadadigest into glucose. Okay? Kasi si glucose, siya yung a-absorb. Pagkatapos niyang ma-absorb, siya yung mame-metabolize. Pag na-metabolize siya, siya yung magiging source natin ng energy. O kaya importanteng ma-digest muna siya. Sino ang mga responsible for the digestion? Of course, it will be your hydrolytic enzymes. Okay, starting from the mouth, for the carbohydrates, you have your salivary amylase. Tapos, hihinto siya ng konti. Hihinto siya sa stomach. Kasi ang mga salivary amylase are affected by the pH. Ang stomach natin, napaka-acidic niyan because of the secretion of hydrochloric acid. So, carbohydrate digestion in the stomach will stop because your amylase are inactivated kasi nasa acidic medium sila. Pero pagbaba niya dun sa small intestine, okay, so there's a part sa duodenum, okay, there will be release of some enzymes, no, that will be acting on the partially digested carbohydrates, and then finally, meron kayong mga disaccharadases like sucrase, maltase, and lactase. Lahat ito, i-break niya yung mga glycosidic bond into monosaccharide, and they're already absorbable form. So kapag absorbable form na, ma-absorb na siya ng cell, okay? Pag nasa loob na ng nucleus ng cell, ay nasa loob na ng cell, ma-metabolize na siya into an energy. Okay, is this clear? Clear. Tapos ang saliva is slippery. It is because of the presence of a glycoprotein called your mucin. Okay, glycoprotein, mucin. So ito it will make your saliva slippery because the saliva will aid in swallowing. Okay? So, isipin nyo na lang kung wala kayong laway, paano nyo lulunukin yung pagkain ninyo. Okay, is this clear? And then your saliva is also composed of water. Mataas ang percentage ng water. And there's also some ions, no, that will parang mapapabilis niya yung reaction, and digestion reaction in the mouth. Kaya nga sinasabi nila, you chew your food slowly, you chew it well, no? para hindi mahirapan yung mga enzyme ninyo. Hindi yung bulto-bulto, nilulunok ng malalaki pa, kawawa naman yung mga enzyme. No, mapapagod sila sa kakatrabaho to break that into smaller pieces. Papasukin nila yung mga glycosidic bonds, yung mga peptide bonds, kasi yun ang trabaho nila, to break, okay, to hydrolyze, to break the covalent bonds in the foods, no, that we are eating. So that's the purpose why you have to chew your food very well. At saka kaya lang medyo mabagal tayo kasi para mabigyan natin ng time yung brain para sabihin sa atin na busog ka na. Eh minsan sumobrang busog ka na bago pa malaman ng brain mo na, hoy, busog ka na, tama na sa kakakain. You have to give time, no, for the brain to realize na busog ka na. Okay, how? You chew your food slowly, you chew your food well. Okay? So may bilang pa nga yan kung ano natin yung theoretical na aspect, no, on the mastication of food. Okay, and cooking also aids in the digestion. Kasi hindi naman tayo kumakain ng raw na meat kasi mahirap i-digestion, no? And you are not cannibals. Okay, so let's go back to the handout. Ano ba to? Nakadikit ko to. Wait lang class, ayaw umandar ng aking mouse. Naghang na. Okay, yan. So ngayon, dun sa experiment natin, kung nag-experiment, okay, so it's like what you did in the experiment for hydrolysis of starch. Okay, imbis na acid ang nilagay ninyo, ang ilalagay nyo this time is your saliva. Okay? So, dun sa starch solution, you put saliva. Tapos, i-incubate natin to i-heat. Ang incubation, usually the saliva will be working best at an optimum temperature of 37 to 40 degrees Celsius. Remember, enzymes are proteins. So, proteins can be denatured by heat. Kaya may incubation time tayo, ay incubation na temperature which is 40 degrees Celsius, no? That is the optimum temperature when your enzymes are working best. So, habang hinihit mo to 40 minutes, gaya dun sa ginawa ninyo sa mid-depression plate na naglagay kayo ng iodine dun sa spot plate, tapos every 5-minute interval, kumukuha kayo dun sa test tube, ay sa beaker, tas i-drop nyo siya doon sa iodine. So, ganun din ang gagawin dito. Titignan kung yung salivary amylase, no, present in your saliva is hydrolyzing your starch. Kung nabi-break niya yung mga glycosidic bonds in your starch. Until mag-produce ka rin ng acrodextrin, which is the achromatic point, and the starch is no longer giving color. Okay? So, ganun din dun sa experiment ninyo. Tapos dun naman sa how to test for the presence of mucin. I said, glycoprotein mucin makes your saliva slippery. So, ang ginagawa is to add 1% acetic acid. So, ang kikita dun sa test tube will be a thread precipitate. So, mahahaba siya na strands, no? Thread-like, parang sinulid. Okay? So, that will tell that mucin is really present in your saliva. So, mucin in saliva is precipitated by dilute acetic acid at a pH around 4.5. Okay? At ang mga enzyme will also work best at a certain pH. So halimbawa, yung saliva natin, hindi naman siya masyadong basic, hindi naman siya masyadong acidic. Kasi if it's not on its optimum pH, hindi rin magtatrabaho si salivary amylase. Okay, so you have to maintain. Kaya nga mucin, no, will be present at around at pH 4.5. So more or less, ito yung pH in our mouth. Okay, around hanggang pH 6. Okay, so we also test for the presence of calcium in the saliva. So ang confirmatory reagent for the presence of calcium in the saliva is potassium oxalate. So you use this confirmatory reagent already in milk, no? So if calcium is present in your saliva, okay, you confirm it with potassium oxalate in acidic medium. Okay, so that's why you added 1% acetic acid. So the formation of a white precipitate will confirm the presence of calcium in the form of calcium oxalate. Okay, so we also test for the presence of phosphate in the saliva. The confirmatory reagent is ammonium molybdate. Yan, ammonium molybdate. Okay, it should be also in an acidic medium because you added concentrated nitric acid. So the positive result will be the formation of a yellow precipitate. So what is that yellow precipitate? Ammonium phosphate molybdate. Okay? So hanggang ano lang to, mouth lang itong diniscuss ko sa digestion. So I will continue with the discussion of digestion siguro sa when we meet on Wednesday. Now with regards to urinalysis, so this is urine study. Okay, this is one important diagnostic procedure done in the laboratory, no, to test for the functioning of your kidney. Yeah, marami siyang pwedeng sabihin, no, the presence of sugar, the presence of mga pathological constituents. You can see that in the urine. Kaya pag yung mga medtech kailangan gumagawa ang urinalysis nila, they do that in 3 trials, gaya din sa laboratory. Why? Para ma-confirm talaga, lalo na kung you are dealing with mga pathological constituents. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na positive po kayo ng bile na hindi natin inuulit, no? Kasi you have to be very careful when doing the analysis. Kasi indication na yun ng let's say damage of a particular organ. Kaya kailangan nire-recheck talaga nila parate. So, what is the appearance of your urine? So, the normal urine is straw to amber yellow, clear and transparent. So, you will see sa Facebook, no, yung mga sinasabi, you need to know the color of your urine because a darker colored urine could give you the information that you are dehydrated. Kulang pa sa tubig, kulang ng inom ng tubig kung masyadong dark. Kung ito naman ay nagko-colored tea, parang tsaa, hindi na normal na ihi yan. No? There could be problem in the liver. Okay? So, dapat ang kulay ng ihi natin is a light yellow, no? Amber yellow. And then, the color of the normal urine is of course due to the pigment urochrome, urobilin, and uroerythrin. So, urochrome is the principal pigment. So, nanggaling ito sa mga breakdown ng mga red blood cells. So, ito yung mga nagbibigay ng color ng urine and as well as the stool. Correct me if I'm wrong, Okay, the odor and taste. So, of course, we don't taste the urine, pero theoretically, it is salty. Kasi syempre, we have a lot of different minerals na inside our body. And the normal urine has a faint aromatic odor. Hindi naman kasing baho ng CR na hindi nabubuhusan ng tubig, no? Na parang amoy urea, na talagang you feel like nagtatakip ka ng ilong sa sobrang baho. Kasi the urine is already decomposed and it is producing a lot of, let's say, ammonia. Kaya sobrang baho na. So the reaction of urine may vary depending on several factors. So as a rule, it is acidic ang reaction niya. So about 6. So kapag kami urinalysis, na-receive mo yung result mo, nakalagay din yung reaction, no? Kung ito ay acidic or basic. Sometimes if you eat a lot of fruits, yung pH na nakikita mo dun sa result is somewhat above 7. Nangyari na sa akin yan, no? When I was pregnant, yung second pregnancy ko, na panay fruits yung kinakain ko, yung pH ng urine ko is nag more than 7 siya. And the doctor said na siguro ma'am kain kayo ng prutas, and which is true, no? Kaya yung pH nagbago. And the specific gravity of your urine is between 1.015 to 1.03. Ngayon, kung madaming asukal sa urine mo, tataas yung specific gravity mo. Kasi it could be present already in your urine, no? The particles of sugar. So that will make the specific gravity greater than the normal. Okay? Kung masyadong diluted yung urine mo, so mas bababa or mababa siya, siguro sa 1.015. And what will be the normal constituents? So, we don't worry kasi they are normal. Pero, pag tumataas naman na sobra, nagiging abnormal yan. Okay? So, urea is normally present in your urine. So, you can test. Ito yung mga test, bahala na kayong mag-aral dyan, no? Kasi, ano naman yan, nababasa nyo naman. So, ang i-emphasize ko lang, that urine has normal organic, no? Organic constituents, urea, uric acid, creatinine, and organic sulfate. Creatinine is, ano to, yung parang na-check niya yung kidney. Diba? Pag mataas yung creatinine mo, kaya sabi ko nga, kung tumataas itong mga creatinine, uric acid, urea, it is an indication naman din ng sakit. Gaya ng creatinine, if this is above the normal, so this will indicate problem on the kidney. Kaya ang creatinine is kidney functioning test to no? That will always tell that a kidney has a problem when your creatinine is above the normal. So, kunyari, ang normal lang is 70 to 110, tapos ang creatinine mo, ilang folds higher, kunyari, 300, 500. Ibig sabihin, may problema ka na sa kidney. No? Ipaparitik talaga ng doctor yan, madaming test na gagawin before mako-confirm ka na may problem ka talaga sa kidney. Pero initially, that will already tell that there's problem with the kidney when creatinine is very high. So, ganun din sa uric acid. Pag sumobrang taas to, the uric acid can crystallize in the joints and that is causing the pain. Diba? Kaya hindi kakain ng mga monggo, mga beans, kasi this will be the sources of your uric acid. Even protein, mga red meat, kapag na-metabolize yan, tumataas yung mga uric acid, especially kung faulty na yung purine metabolism. Okay, so these are the tests, the confirmatory test, and the positive result. And what are the normal inorganic constituents of the urine? So you have the cations, positively charged, calcium, magnesium, negatively charged, chloride, sulfate. And then you have the confirmatory test with the equivalent positive result. Okay? And then pathological, ibig sabihin, hindi normal, sakit ito. So kung meron kang protein in the urine, ginawa na ninyo ito sa precipitation of protein, yung coagulation test, at saka yung Heller's with concentrated nitric acid. So you see turbidity of solution, white ring. Naalala nyo, ginawa na ninyo ito sa protein, no? So if your urine, when heated, nagkaroon ng coagulation, nagkaroon ng white ring with nitric acid, then albumin is present in the urine. Saan lalabas ang albumin? Saan siya manggagaling? Maaring yung kidney mo, yung cell membrane niya, medyo naging lumaki yung butas. So, nagli-leak out na yung mga albumin mo na dapat bumabalik sa circulation. Okay? Kaya, kung may protein ka in the urine, it's also an indication of a disease. No? Maybe, it could be a kidney. Kasi nagli-leak out na yung albumin mo. Kasi si kidney ang nagsasala ng urine eh. Okay? So, kung yung kidney mo, na-i-increase mo yung permeability, okay? So, some of the components might, okay, leak out and it will be present in your urine. Okay? So, these are the tests, no, for the presence of albumin or protein. Yung glucose naman, pag sumobra na yung glucose mo, okay, pwede ding mag-manifest sa urine mo yan. Pero do not think na after eating a high carbohydrate diet, as kumuha ka ng ihi mo, nag-test ka with Benedict's at nag-brick red, meron ka na kagad glucose. It is expected that after eating a high carbohydrate meal, after 1 hour, mataas pa talaga yung glucose mo in the urine, in the blood. O syempre, yung kidney, sinasala niya yung blood mo. So, yung ibang glucose mo, nagiging present na dun sa urine mo. Okay? Kaya nagmamanifest yung presence ng sugar. Okay? Which is glucose. Okay? So, Ang gagawin dyan, kung may glucose ka sa urine mo, madaming test ang gagawin sa'yo because glucose is an indication of diabetes. Diba? So, hindi lang dyan mag-e-end yung diagnosis mo o yung procedure mo. Pwedeng sabihin, okay, mag-HbA1c ka, so they're going to look at the status of your blood, no, which is combined with a sugar. And this is usually studied for 3 months. Yung HbA1c, 3 months yan para makita kung glycosylated yung mga hemoglobin mo. Okay, so to further really check if you are diabetic or not. Hindi lang naman sila magre-rely dun sa yung sa urinalysis mo. O pwede kang mag-FBS, yung food fasting, ano ba? FBS. That is FBS, fasting blood sugar. Fasting blood sugar. So meaning, you don't eat for 10 hours and then you're going to subject yourself, titingnan yung blood mo kung meron mataas na sugar. Kaya hindi lang naman yung urinalysis ang basis for telling that you are diabetic or not. And then acetone bodies. Okay, ang acetone bodies, ang ketone or acetone is present in the blood in a small amount. Pero kung hindi na utilize yung sugar mo, okay, hindi na utilize yung sugar mo, I don't know kung na-mention ni Sir Salatan sa inyo sa lecture, na gagamitin yung ibang part o gagamitin yung ibang biochemical system to produce an energy. So pwedeng gamitin niya yung mga fats, no, the adipose tissues. This can be converted into an energy via gluconeogenesis because it's not coming from carbo. So it's a new formation of glucose coming from a non-carbohydrate. So that is gluconeogenesis. So kung gagamit ng fat to be oxidized, ang nangyayari, napaka-rapid ng oxidation ng fat. So kung very rapid ang oxidation ng fat, merong mga products na napoproduce. And these are your acetone, your acetoacetic acid, and hydroxybutyric acid. So kung madaming acetone ang napoproduce, okay, and hydroxybutyric and acetoacetic, these are called the acetone bodies. And they become a pathological component or constituent of the urine. Okay, so this is your test. Pag ikaw naman ay merong pigment in the urine, this could be an indication of maybe a problem on the liver. Okay, so magiging present yung mga bile acid, bile salt, and bile pigment, no, in the urine. So you can test that using this test, yung Medins test, and this will be the positive result. So this is not normal, no? It's not normal to have bile acid, bile salt, and bile pigment in the urine in a higher concentration. It's not also normal to have blood in the urine, not unless it is your monthly period. Diba? So, halimbawa, nagkaroon ng dugo ang urine, pwedeng manggaling sa kidney, pwedeng mangyari sa urinary system. Okay, yun ang mga i-check. And this is not normal. And these are the tests for the presence of the blood. Also, urobelinogen, no? Parang kasama din ng mga bile acids. So, this should not be present in the blood. Indican is a product for intestinal putrefaction. So, ibig sabihin yung mga nabubulok, no, dun sa intestine natin. Okay? So, it can be test at yun ang napoproduce niya yung indican. Kaya it is a pathological component. Okay? So, the test is Obermeyer's and this will be your positive result. So, ito, aaralin nyo na lang. And then, additional notes, what is used to measure the specific gravity of urine, you call that as urinometer. So, kung on Tuesday, I will be showing this urinometer with you. And the composition of urine is affected by nutritional status, whatever you're eating, no, metabolic processes, and the status of your kidney functioning. So the normal adult excretes about 1.2 liters to 1.5 liters of urine in 24 hours depending on the intake. Minsan, sumusobra dito yung ihi natin kasi inom tayo ng inom ng tubig. But for diabetic, no, kung talagang uncontrolled yung sugar niya, so yun ang mangyayari, magkakaroon siya ng polyuria. Okay, so we have three terms to take note in terms of the urine excretion: oliguria, polyuria, and anuria. Ang oliguria, you are normally, sabi natin, nag-excrete tayo ng urine 1.2 to 1.5 ml. Pero kung less than 600 siya, that condition is called oliguria. If it's more than naman 2.5, sa diabetic lalo, you call that as polyuria. So urea is urine, imia is blood. Imia is blood, urea is urine. Kapag naman konting-konti ang na-excrete ng urine hanggang sa hindi ka na makapag-excrete ng urine, then you call that as anuria. No? Nagkakaroon na ng malfunctioning ang kidneys. Di ba? Pagka ganyan na, medyo seryoso na, 50-50 na yung patient. Kasi we have to eliminate the waste from our body. Kaya pagka ganyan, minsan nagda-dialysis na yung pasyente kasi malalaso na yung katawan niya. No? Yung mga dapat ilabas, bumabalik sa circulation like ammonia, no? The ammonia should be present in the urine. Ngayon kung hindi mailabas 'yan, pupunta hanggang sa utak mo. Okay? And that is what they call encephalopathy, na nagkokoma yung pasyente. Kasi nga wala na siyang ability to excrete yung kanyang mga metabolic waste. Parang di ko napansin dito si ammonia. Parang kulang ito ha. Okay, wala yung ammonia. It is, okay, I think nandito sa ibang Okay, so take note of the three terms: oliguria, polyuria, and anuria. What is the odor? Faint aromatic, where a cloudy urine with ammoniacal odor indicates urea-splitting bacteria, which indicates urinary tract infection. So, ang ihi is faint aromatic, hindi siya mabaho. Pero kapag ito ay sobrang maamoy, ammoniacal, ibig sabihin, may UTI. Okay? Because a bacteria will already, act on the urea to produce the ammonia. Urea is transformed into ammonia by this bacteria. Kaya yung CR na hindi na bubuhusan, 'di ba? Ang amoy parang ammonia. Kasi nga yung mga bacteria doon, kino-convert na nila yung urea into ammonia. Tapos kung very offensive na yung odor ng urine, it could be an indication of the presence of pus. So alam niyo naman yung pus na yan, no? So it's really an infection. So the color of urine shows degree of the concentration and depends on the amount voided. So normal urine is clear or amber due to the pigment urochrome. So the color of the urine, color varies with the specific gravity. So a diluted urine is lighter, straw colored. A concentrated urine is darker in color. So kung medyo darker na ang color niya, dehydrated ka. So you have to drink a lot of water. So a turbid or smoky colored urine indicates hematuria. So sometimes hindi mo makikita, no, kung hindi under the microscope. Pero kung sobra na talaga yung madaming blood, makikita mo na, no? It will be seen by your naked eye. So red or red-brown urine is due to blood and blood pigments. So transfusion reaction, bleeding lesions in the urogenital tract. So yellow-brown or green-brown urine may indicate obstructed lesion of the bile duct system. Okay, dark brown or black urine is seen in malignant. No? This is malignant melanoma or leukemia. So this is cancer already, melanoma. So these are the normal, normal inorganic constituents of urine. So you have ammonia. So ammonia is inorganic, not organic. So ang organic yung mga urea, uric, creatinine, and so on. So kayang-kaya nyo nang basahin yan. So ito yung mga abnormal constituents, and this is the condition. So if you say proteinuria, so it's a condition na yung urine has a large amount of protein, and this is could be, no? It could be indicative of acute and chronic renal disease. So renal is sa kidney. So indican, nabanggit ko kanina yung putrefaction. Ayan, formed from putrefaction of food containing tryptophan in the intestine. So, okay, so ito lang yung sa urine. So that ends the So kaya na basahin. I-upload ko na lang to. Hello? Andiyan dyan pa kayo? Diyan pa ba kayo?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes po.
Ko na lang, and that will be great. So what do you expect next meeting? Dahil may handout na kayo ng urinalysis, magki-quiz na ba tayo? Para may additional pa kayong quiz kasi ang quiz nyo pa lang nucleic and then carbo. So yung iba, please bumawi. No? You have the handout, so siguro naman the next time. Kasi may nakita akong mga score na 8 or 9 out of 30. So that's very low. So kailangan mag-aral. Okay, so you have the handout. So please study and then be ready for a quiz on urinalysis on Tuesday. Tapos after nyan, or pwede ding mag-urinalysis experiment muna kayo and then you can have the quiz.